So this week, Newsmax shared an article on thinking twice before you share selfies. I'm a big advocate of, protecting your online presence and making sure that you don't have too much exposure online and giving too much information away. So make sure you catch that article. Really helpful. Also, if you or any of your executives want to talk further about this, feel free to reach out and we can talk about executive digital protection. Really important thing that I really feel strongly that all executives need. Cyberscoop shared an article this week about aligning the CISO role with the business strategy, including multiple stakeholders, making sure that people aren't just going in this alone. The CISO is not the one head, one neck to choke, if you will. I mean, they typically have been, but there are so many people that are responsible for making sure that people don't click the wrong thing or that they're educated on phishing scams and all of those things. So make sure that everyone's banding behind their CISO to help him do his job better. ZDNet shared an article this week about iPhone settings and making sure that they're as secure as possible. They talked about various things, kind of like making sure you have a strong passcode, that you're limiting the data leakage by disabling features that you don't need or use that store a lot of data, especially the ones from a locked screen. You don't want a notification to pop up and anyone who's standing near your phone to be able to see that. Also, things like credential replay, if you'll remember, that's where you reuse your passwords and information. You definitely don't want to do that. One compromise in one area can be utilized to hack into accounts in other places. So make sure that you're not reusing your passwords. To reduce the lock screen timeout, you don't want to just leave your phone open indefinitely. Make sure that it's set at like a 1 or 2 minute timeout. So if there's an activity, it will just shut it down and then you'll have to use your passcode to get back into it. Hide the notification preview, again, keeping things secure unless that someone has authorized access to the device. They also recommend that you reboot weekly and use iVerify. Rebooting weekly is going to make sure that all of those updates take effect and that you have the most recent version of the software. iVerify, again, I can't speak to this one personally, but it runs scans on your device to make sure that you're using the best security features available on the phone, which is really helpful. So be sure to check those out if you have an iPhone and you want to make sure it's as secure as possible. Paul Crespo shared an NBC News article. It showed Russian documents that revealed a campaign to sow racial discord and violence in the U.S. This is a perfect example of weaponized disinformation. We talk about disinformation all the time. I'm constantly nagging you all to make sure that you're sharing articles that are real, relevant, verified from good sources. This is an example of what happens when they're not. There are people who benefit from us being in conflict. So let's make sure that we're trying to bridge gaps and be closer to one another and not letting people sow discord, especially not foreign governments. Brian Vandenberg from the American Medical Association weighed in on the importance of police reform as it relates to healthcare. Similarly, the mayor of Kansas City, Quentin Lucas, shared a New York Times statistic that showed the racial inequity of the coronavirus and how it is more heavily impacting Black and Latino communities. Similarly, again, the American Psychological Association is sharing research into how exposure to racism can cause trauma, and not only to those affected personally, but passed on from generation to generation. So these are all very similar healthcare community-related things that just highlight our need to understand things a little bit better so that we can create processes and support one another better. So make sure you catch those really important articles, I think. Speaking of my hometown of KC, I'm very excited that Patrick Mahomes has signed the most lucrative contract in sports history with my KC Chiefs. So congrats to all on that deal. Looking forward to that. Joseph Coney, product manager at LinkedIn, rolled out his first product release. It includes a new feature that lets your connections know how to properly pronounce your name. Very excited about this. There are so many times that we're trying desperately to interpret one another's names and know if we're saying them correctly and just be respectful of those differences. So really love to see this. This is very an exciting feature. Lee Newbecker and Debbie Reynolds sat down and shared a video this week on specifics around contact tracing. If you're not super familiar with contact tracing, it's basically where when you get tested or test positive for coronavirus, you're kind of going into a system of tracking where the healthcare providers are wanting to make sure that they know who you come in contact with from that point forward. Google and some other apps are offering the tracing services. People are getting a little nervous about how they work. So this really kind of goes into the nuts and bolts of those particulars, things that they're good at, things that they're not so good at. But really, I thought it was an interesting conversation to catch. This week on Tuesday, the Cigar Society of Chicago is having a talk on criminal justice and social justice in this time of pandemic and unrest. So Tuesday, 5:30 Central Time. If you can catch it, it's a free thing. You just Zoom on there and light up a cigar and have some really intelligent, nice, fun conversation. So I hope to see you all there. And Chuck, you are having Black Hat interviews soon. I know that Prescient is looking forward to being in one of those, but tell everyone about that. Like, what's that look like? Since we can't go to Black Hat this year, this is our only way to be able to hang out with each other.
Yeah, so I've been going there for 7 years doing interviews in person, and this year I noticed they had a virtual conference, but I didn't see any place in the virtual conference for the traditional vendors. So I decided, hey, why don't we just record remotely, do the same thing we always do, and see how it goes. We've gotten a lot of feedback on that, a lot of response. So we're going to record them, pre-record them before the show, and then I'm going to schedule one day close to the Black Hat conference to play all those and comment on them. And I'll have some guests, perhaps somebody from Prescient will come on and co-host, and we'll discuss a topic and then say, hey, let's play a video here from this company right here to discuss that. So it'll be mostly live, as I like to say, when we do the show, but we're looking forward to it, and it seems to be well received so far.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to it personally. Otherwise, that's what I have for you this week. I hope everyone is well and staying cool. It's been pretty steamy here in Chicago before the rain hit. So anyway, I hope everyone is well and hope to see you all very soon. Have a good week.